Hello everyone, this is me again, Musa. So, sorry for the long wait for this because I was expecting to get these out a lot quicker, but I didn't really think people would be that interested in hearing me talk about the tribes, so I was kind of procrastinating. And plus, there was school, had to focus on graduating, but that's all whatever right now. It's just about the Janoa. So this video is going to be about the Janoa tribe of Chronicles of Elyria. So starting out, let's see the concept art. So here we have the concept art of the Janoa, which you have here a common Janoan male and a common Janoan female. So obviously their skin, they have Blasco lines. In this, they're not very prominent, but you'll see another image of them that they are much more prominent in game. So here you see their eyes are not catty, that's not the right word. What am I trying to say? They have tiger-like eyes, like cat eyes. Split. What is the right word for it? I can't think right now. Yeah, so they have like yellow cat eyes, and that's in the actual write-up too. They talk about their cat eyes, but in some of the in-game model, you don't really see the cat eyes. But maybe that's just something they'll implement later on. I'm not sure. But speaking about the in-game model, so I think a month ago, we got the Janoan in-game model, which is right over here. And you have a common Janoan male. So if you zoom in, his eyes, they do look yellow, but they don't look very cat-like. Maybe it's just the low quality. So zooming out again, you can see his Blasco lines are very prominent. They're all over his body. And they're very dark in this picture because this was a different version. The first picture, they were very faint, and the community was complaining about them not being prominent. And so the devs released a couple more pictures of them, a little bit more intense. This is actually not the most intense one. So I'll go from each to each. This was the first one. See how the lines are kind of not there. You could easily mistake them for just being, like not even tattoos, like just like faint birthmarks. They don't even look like they're actually there. Like from a distance, you wouldn't even notice them really. So I don't think that was the best model for them. And they released this one, which they're a little more prominent, but still, you could easily mistake them if you're not looking for them, But then they released the third one. Get out of the way. The third one, which is amazing, because they're just right in your face. They're like tattoos almost. And I think that's the best option because the stripes are obviously based on tigers who have black stripes. And, to break up their silhouette and stuff for camouflage. So the darker the stripes, the better it breaks up the silhouette. So I think personally this darkest version of the stripes is the best, but somebody might find, the other hues better, but I think the devs are going to go with the darkest one because there is a lot of the community said they like the darkest one, so the devs seem to pick that one, and hopefully they'll stick with that. Okay, so now that we've seen all this, we can see, actually, there's one more thing. The devs also we also got some images of the tropical rainforest in game. So here we have the tropical rainforest where the Janoans are gonna be. The first picture we got of this was kind of bad. It looks like just a bunch of small trees and kind of like a little forest. But in this picture, they're just gigantic trees. The foliage is everywhere. The ground covering, you can't even see the ground really. And it's just beautiful, really. And then we have more pictures here. Like, look at that tree detail. Look at those roots going up a tree. Look at that foliage. It's really nice. I really like the tropical rainforest. And here you have some flowers, some underbrush, and the sun. It's just really nice, but yeah. Okay, now onto the actual write-up itself. You zoom in a little bit. Okay. So let's start with the first paragraph, obviously. Members of the Janoan tribe are tall and athletic in stature, standing around 6'3", 190 centimeters, like the brood deer, but weighing only 175 to 200 pounds, 79 to 91 kilos. They have developed a longer and more powerful upper body than most other tribes, attributed to their evolutionary need to reach higher branches and move around comfortably in the canopy. The Janoa generally have olive or tan skin, enabling them to blend in better with the surrounding flora, and have further evolved striping on their skin from pronounced Blaschko lines, which provides additional camouflage when stalking their prey. They typically have dark brown, brown, or light brown hair and imposing yellow eyes. The combination of yellow eyes and tiger-like stripes gives the Janoa a wild, feral appearance. In common parlance, asking if someone has Janoan blood is an idiom for stating that they appear dangerous and should be approached with caution. So we see a little bit of stereotype with Janoa already, a little bit of cultural stereotypes. They're seen as dangerous or just savages, which maybe that's correct, but I feel personally that might be like just surface level, but outsiders would see a Janoan and think they're just all martial savages, but their culture might be much more complex than just anyone notices. So hold on one second, let me get a drink. Okay, sorry, my mouth was a little dry. Okay, advantages: striping, patterned pigmentation in their skin that functions as camouflage while in jungles. So that's what we saw in the picture. See here, there's striping, and obviously it says it's supposed to be meant for camouflage. So like I said, the darker it is, the better it is at camouflaging, if that's a word. Long reach. A longer than average torso and arms provide the Janoa better reach in parkour. So they'll be like Tarzan swinging among the canopy and stuff, which should be interesting how that works out in game, because that'd be a lot of animations they would have to make and stuff. I don't know. It might take a long time to do. 3. Poison resistance. Being around poisonous flora and fauna in the jungle has improved the overall resistance of the Janoa to poisons. So they have minor poison resistance. Makes sense since, the jungle is very poisonous. Okay, disadvantages. 1. Striping. While in their home biome, this striping assists the Janoa in hiding among their surroundings. However, when the Janoa leave their homeland, they will find this striping often causes them to stand out and be less able to hide. 2. Wet lung. As a result of their biome, they are accustomed to high levels of moisture. In arid and dry environments, they are quicker to fatigue. So that's kind of the opposite of the brood deer, which are the wolf people. They live in high mountains, so their air is very thin and dry. And here the Janoa have very wet air, very moist air, so they kind of are polar opposites in that sense of the word. Stats. Physical, mental, social. All living creatures in Elyria are rated along 3 axes of attributes: physical, strength, agility, stamina; mental, will, reason, focus; and social, persuasion, intuition, and leadership. The values below represent the Janoa's predisposition towards certain attributes. Note that the actual starting values of a character's attributes are based on their specific parents, but a character's bloodlines also determines how easy or difficult it is to raise one attribute over another. So obviously not every single Janoa will be physically inept, because if you have 2 Janoan parents who are crafters or shamans, you probably won't have a very physical build, even though you're a Janoa. So, just because you go Janoa, don't expect to be the most beefy guy, the right word, the most muscle-bound person in the game. Okay, physical. The Janoa are one of the most revered physically of all the tribes. They are one of the strongest and most physically resolved, and they are far more agile than the majority of the tribes, lending to the to the Janoa being some of the fiercest of fighters. So they basically have the strength of tigers. Mental. The Janoa run the middle of the road when it comes to mental aptitude. Not the best, but not the worst. So they don't really particularly care about mental strength. Makes sense. But social. The Janoa, while being the most physically apt of the tribes, fall short in their social graces. To outsiders, they come across as harsh and abrasive, and due to remaining fairly isolated in the jungle, aren't the best at either negotiation or the more subtle social arts. So that's about the stereotype again. Outsiders like the Naran, Kipik, they see the Broodveer as just like bloodthirsty and, warmongering. But at the end of the day, you can't really understand a culture unless you're actually a part of that, because there's so much more to every culture than just surface level. And the Janoans aren't particularly adept at communicating with other tribes, but they don't have to when they have everything they need in their own environment, That's just what it is for them. History. Long before the Janoa and Dras evolved their unique traits, the two tribes were one. Over time, members of the population started to develop the striping which they are now known for today. This wasn't an sorry, I didn't even see. Sorry, hold on. This wasn't a ubiquitous evolution, however, and those that would eventually become the Janoa banished those who were unmarked as the tropical tribe continued to evolve in the rainforest. So, too, did their predators. In time, the stripes became a necessary survival trait, and those that lacked them became a liability to the rest. With the unmarked gone, the thick underbrush, poisonous plants, and forest predators allowed the Janoa to live in relative isolation from the rest of the world for much of their history. Of course, the Dras have, and this is my personal opinion, of course the Dras have the opposite history. They think the Janoa just use them as slaves and stuff. And the Janoa don't particularly say that they use them as slaves in here, but that might be what happened. Who knows? It was so long ago, neither tribe really remembers, probably. So, but to the Janoans' credit, sure, it makes sense. The jungle is dangerous, and the more evolved you are to survive it, the better, in a sense. Back to the article. But not all was easy in the jungle. The Janoa have seen their share of hard times. Nearly a millennium ago, a massive drought settled over the rainforest. The forest caught fire, and large swaths of trees became ash before the Janoans' very eyes. They feared that nothing would remain, so they sought the aid of the shamans who had insight into the world between the worlds. The shamans determined that the cause to be a great phoenix spirit trapped between the physical world and the spirit world. They bid their best hunters to enter the spirit world and slay the phoenix, and once defeated, the drought ended and the rains returned. But the hunters that were sent never returned, and are now said to stalk the astral plane for eternity. You know what would be really cool, I think? If those hunters stalk the actual plane as astral tigers, because speculating off the top of my head, the Janoa in astral form would probably be tigers, So I'd be really cool if there are spirit tigers that the Janoans believe are the spirits of these lost warriors. And I don't know, that'd be really cool, I feel. Maybe it's stupid, I don't know. In addition, even today the rainforest is a cruel mistress. Oh, okay. The very same things that discourage others from entering are also a constant source of conflict for the Janoa. Every day, leaving a settlement is a test of strength, agility, and will, and each season is a gamble, which the potential for evolving predators, locusts, and other pests, long landslides, and even drought, the forest will just as often bite the hand as it feeds it. So the tropical rainforest is full of deadly creatures, so the Janoans aren't particularly I guess they're paranoid because that makes sense. Everything's out to kill you. Why wouldn't you be paranoid? But anyway, culture. The Janoa are a proud people, and their society is built upon and consumed with the idea of the hunt. In their culture, much is determined and judged within the guise of the hunt, and your worth as a member of the pride is only earned through your skill as a hunter and the trophies you acquire. Trophies, especially of fierce or respected prey, hold great value. They are also an outwardly facing culture, concerning more with what's shown or demonstrated than what is hidden or implied. The physical ornaments in which they adorn themselves, pelts, skulls, claws, feathers, and the teeth of their prey, serve to distinguish their standing within the Janoan society. They judge others through the same superficial lens, even outsiders, which often leads to dispute. When a dispute does arise among the Janoa, you can be sure it will be settled through physical means. Friends and family are expected to stay out of such things, as the pride of a Janoa is theirs alone to defend. So Janoans are, again, we stated, they're not very mentally adept. They prefer what's there. They don't like to think too complexly. They don't like to go outside of the box. They see a box, they say it's a box. They don't really like to they're not scholars. They're like that. They're more physically. Which makes sense. They're hunters, they're warriors, Their jungle is it bred them, they're shaped by their environment, which I understand. Religion. The Janoa are Faden, an animist religion that roots much of its belief in the forces of nature. The Faden believe that the physical and spiritual planes are inextricably sorry, I'm not going to say that word anymore. The planes are linked, and that all living things, not just man, are filled with spirit. This belief is demonstrated throughout many, if not all, facets of a phase culture, from their ceremonial practices to the prevalence of animal and plant symbolism in their artwork. Like other religions, all Faden share the same basic tenets, but there are individual differences between the various tribes of man. For example, while the Kipik believe that all living things are filled with spirit and should be protected, the Janoa believe that the spirits of each living thing are the ultimate source of power and enlightenment. Unlike the Broodveer, who hunt out of necessity and view their kills as an opportunity for the spirit to reincarnate, the Janoa believe that killing and consuming another creature causes it to become a part of oneself, that the hunter will inherit some part of its spirit and attributes. It is for this reason that the hunt is so important to the Janoa, as only through conquering the fiercest and most cunning creatures can the Janoa demonstrate their outer strength and increase their inner strength. So obviously the Janoa, hold on a second. The Janoa obviously view killing as a religious act, and consuming prey as increasing one's spiritual nature. So maybe the more, not the more prey, the more, what's the word? God, stop. The more prized prey you consume, the more spiritual you become, Obviously, that's what that was implying. Okay, language. Having long resided in the tropical rainforest, the Janoa speak a language of their own, which we're temporarily referring to as tropical. Due to the resources that exist within the rainforest, plenty of food, water, and shelter, the Janoa have little need to communicate with outsiders. Combined with their prickly temperament and feeling of superiority towards the other tribes, this has negated their need or desire to learn anything other than tropical. When the need to talk to outsiders does occur, they enlist the Turesk, or less often the Dross, as intermediaries. Entertainment. It should come as no surprise that most of the entertainment in Janoan society is centered around competition, But this isn't limited to physical combat. Among the Janoa, casually competitive, skill-based social games such as Toad in the Hole, knife throwing, arm wrestling, and more are equally as common. Having a strong oral tradition, they revel in the stories told by their shamans and of past kills, and will gather around to hear the reading of a trophy tree, where the shaman will speak of the hunts that occurred for each beast on it. I would love to hear go to a Janoan settlement and hear one of those stories, just for the fun of it. That sounds like a fun time. Music. The ritualistic nature of the Janoa is reinforced in their music, as gatherings, both before and after a hunt, as well as when preparing for a long journey, they will often sing songs of the spirits which they worship and look to for strength, often featuring the mightiest creatures, some considered mythical, some not. Songs of those who have absorbed the spirit of a particularly legendary beast are shared among settlement to settlements and act as inspiration for the young Janoan hunters. Tales of the hunt, from those which exist in a recent memory to ancient hunts that have been passed down through many generations, frequently take the form of song and are accompanied by instruments to represent different spirits or beasts in the story. Instruments like flutes and pipes represent birds of prey and are fashioned from wood or bone, while drums may use animal hides or wood to create the resonant sounds of a various rumbling beast. Typically, the instruments are created by commoners and non-hunters, as we're paying respect to their superiors. So there's a class system here of non-hunters and crafters being the betas, to the alpha hunters, which I see that, I don't think that's bad, considering that the alpha hunters are the ones who are feeding the tribe, and the ones who are crafting things are the ones who are supporting the tribe. But at the end of the day, you need to eat, so anyone who can hunt and feed the tribe should be a superior art. Because that was wrong. Because physical appearance is important to the Janoa, they spend a non-trivial time creating interesting and ornate clothing and adornments to wear. Utilizing materials from their environment, including feathers, bones, and pelts, their clothing is easily recognized but not often mimicked. Janoan trophy trees, of which they are commonly known for, are created by taking logs, carving an animal or beast faced upon it, and then stacking it upon an existing trophy tree. And while not generally as good as wood carving as the Broodveer of the North, due to their lack of dedication, the isolation and readily available crafting material has given the Janoan a keen hand for the craft. These trees, akin to totem poles in the real world, contain the records that are worth remembering. While many Janoa have the skills necessary to make a trophy tree, this is a task that only the shamans are officially allowed to undertake, as they are the only ones considered capable of judging the worth of a spiritual conquest. Those spurning tradition have been known to carve their own totems, although it is frowned upon. Properly prepared, a trophy tree developed over a lifetime is a thing held in great reverence and is a sight to behold. I would love to see the most impressive trophy tree of the Janoa. I just travel to the capital Janoan city and see the biggest one the king has. That'd be amazing. Oof! I wonder when they stop, because if you keep building trophy trees upon more trophy trees, eventually it just gets to the point where it just gets ridiculously high, and then it can't support itself anymore. So maybe it's better to just keep trophy trees pretty low, but just keep multiple of them close to each other. Resources and environment. The tropical rainforest, while very dangerous, is also incredibly dense with impressive beasts. For the Janoa, that makes the tropical rainforest the perfect place to call home. Their biome contains plentiful amounts of resources on which to subsist. With the Janoa's unique adaptations being most suited to it, it's unlikely they will grow out of it. Food: meat, flora, fruits, berries. Housing: wood, animal skin and leaves. Clothing: animal skins, furs. Tools and weapons: bone, wood, and poison. Containers: flora, which I'm guessing is like woven stuff, not actually just plants you stick stuff in. Yeah, that's weird. Animal skin and wood. Architecture: their homes reflect their culture's hunt-centric mentality. Homes regularly feature a dedicated trophy tree, as well as areas for the many herbs, medicines, and hunting equipment they use. Insulated against the rain is near ubiquitous, which only the poorest lacking it. Homes are typically situated on short stilts to keep them level over the roots and vines crisscrossing the jungle floor, and also to keep the home from sinking into the mud when it rains, and probably to keep little bugs out of the house and, rodents. Jungle rodents out of the house. Sociology: skills and professions. Hunter, trapper, alchemist, shaman, scout, mercenary, gatherer, carpenter. I think it'd be interesting to be a Janoan shaman. I wonder if they have like a shaman school or like a shaman temple that they all the shamans go to train at. That'd be really, really interesting. I want to know more about that. Mercenary, hunter, yeah. Okay. Social classes. Janoan society values the individual and the hunt. The social classes are as follows: honored, nobility, proven, aristocracy, blooded, gentry, unblooded, commoner. To even be considered a full-blooded member of the pride, a Janoan, once becoming an adult, must complete a hunt as a rite of passage. Completing a hunt does not a blooded make, however, and is expected that one will acquire trophies in order to earn the right of a trophy tree. The tree is almost always a prominent location on the property owned by a Janoan. The more prominent the trophy, the more decorated the trophy tree, and the stronger the individual, the higher a Janoan may rise. So what that sounds like is you will need a trophy tree on your land in order to own that land. So if you're planning to play a Janoa and you don't want to really be a hunter, that might not be the best tribe to be going into, because if you want to move up in society, you're gonna need to hunt and kill things. So yeah. The honored frequently see the border patrol of their own territory personally, as it is only natural that invaders meet and are subsequently defeated by the mightiest one in the area straight away. If a non-hostile invader is found, it is also their right to gauge the threat. That's cool. Put your self in risk first. Don't throw people in your way. The most powerful and revered hunter among the honored takes the title of Prime and accepts no royal guards while in the borders of his or her dominion, as it would show weakness. Below the Prime are the Clave, who oversee the military. Clave, who oversee the military prowess of the Janoa and rule their own domains, called Anktree. Within each Anktree, which is a duchy, the Talor run the individual counties, or Gleam. So, Claves are dukes who run Anktree, which are duchies, and in those duchies, Anktrees, there are Talor, who are counts who rule Gleams, who are counties. That was the wrong way around. There are Talor that are counties. Oh, no, I was right. There are Talor who are counts that run Gleams that are counties, and in those Gleams there are individual settlements known as rings and are managed by Proven. God, that is going to be complicated in game. Okay. Leadership. To become a Janoan leader, one must be a capable hunter who possesses many sought-after trophies and a demonstrated warrior. Once achieved, they remain honored or proven until their time of death. As the Janoan hold great respect for the bloodline of an honored or proven, the children of the honored or proven are expected to take over the mantle of their parents when they die. So I suppose they just assume the children will be equally as good as hunting as their parents. It might be kind of sad if a Janoan heir doesn't want to be a hunter, and is forced into that lifestyle because they're expected to be as great as their father, who was a great hunter. So I could say that being story potential. Okay, when a power vacuum occurs, prestige of trophies is not enough to choose a new leader, as a seasoned hunter past his prime would not be respected as ruler. Casus belli is given to whomever among the eligible hunters proves themselves most potent in trial by combat. I wonder if it's combat to the death, because that way you could actually tell who is most powerful if the last one's alive. Okay, education. Primarily, Janoan youth receive training and tutelage from their parents, perceiving children as a reflection of an individual's way too fast. Okay, perceiving children as a reflection of an individual's prowess, at least until adulthood. There exist steep expectations for the next of kin. Parents put in effort to pass on techniques and knowledge through practical lessons by bringing their children on training hunts or sending them to the local hunting academy. While incredibly rare, there are times in which a child is born not bearing the marks of their parents. These individuals are shunned from engaging in the hunt and many times become gatherers or alchemists. I'm assuming shamans too. As part of their learning prowess, many Janoa will find a rival with whom they can practice their skills. Valuing individual prowess and domination, schools or institutions Schools or institutions pit students against student for nearly every subject taught. Be it herbalism or mathematics, there are some slightly less competitive organizations that exist and operate on an economic level, primarily being the alchemists and merchants who make much of their living off the excess of hunted materials not used by the trophies or adornments. Okay, that was really hard for me to say for some reason. Okay, about this. So fortunately, I'm not a very competitive person. I don't really like to, I feel like competition is just too much stress for me personally, so I would just hate to live in a Janoan society where everything is just competition all the day. Sometimes you just want to not care if you're better than someone else about something, But that's just me. Aside from that, they're pretty cool. Military. The Janoa remain fairly isolated due in part to the dense jungle they call home, as well as their hostility toward outsiders. In ages past, the Janoa have attempted various conquests, but their predation turned inward, as they typically found more to gain from within their borders than without. With plenty of fresh water, food, shelter, and interesting things to hunt in the jungle, Janoan basics needs are easily met. That said, when not under threat from predators within the jungle, the Janoa often look outside to help maintain their skills. It's exceptionally common to see Janoan mercenaries and assassins for hire in most of the tropical and warm temperate regions across Elyria. This kind of work is most common among the unblooded, who are earning the right to a trophy tree. The Janoa are not very picky about what they hunt and fight as long as it is worth hunting. Okay. When a threat does come against Janoan territory, their military, Similar to the Kipik, operates very heavily in guerrilla warfare. Believing the best defense is a good offense, an invading force will find itself harried in greater and greater numbers the more they press. This has less to do with a distinct military strategy and more to do with word of mouth and hunters not wanting to miss out on a good trophy. Small squads may form and coordinate with the overall offensive efforts through a kind of semaphore system. I'm not sure what that is exactly, but utilizing distinct markings and signs that are observable in key locations and environments, which the various squads and solo hunters, a way to communicate without revealing their locations. War drums and other audible cues are sometimes used as a distraction. So I'm guessing like something very when a tiger's hunting, they're prowling. They don't make a sound. They follow their prey for miles. So something like that. Like they'll follow the army. They'll like know where they're going. They'll see how many people there are. They'll like mark them for the kill, I guess. Which you wouldn't think a Janoan would be really that patient, but I guess when it comes to hunting, they're very patient and intelligent. Okay. Fear is also a common tactic utilized in their predation, and more aggressive traps may be utilized in areas which are present unfavorable conditions or environments on their general tactics. That sentence is structured weird, but yeah, there should be a period somewhere in that. But they use fear tactics, so probably like growling at their enemy. I assume they have fangs because they're meant to be off tigers. Friendly, Toresk. Literally the only tribe they're friendly with. That's kind of sad. The closest thing to neighbors Janoa have, and with having existed so close by for a great length of time, the two tribes get on well enough. The Toresk at times will trade such things as maize and milk of the talon weed, a powerful stimulant found in the wetlands. I wonder how actually drugs will work in game if they're trading milk of the talon weed, which is obviously meant to be milk of the poppy, heroin. How will taking it work in game? Will it be like in Skyrim where like you get dizzy for a little while and then you see colors and stuff and then you pass out? Which could be fun for like a couple minutes, but doesn't really affect you overall. I wonder how it will work out. Maybe you get addicted and you need to take more and more to sustain yourself. That could be an interesting mechanic. But then again, it would have to be a higher rating, mature for drug content. Yeah, that's too bad. Anyway, while the Janoa will trade sturdy lumber, gold, or alchemical solutions and opiates. Again, drugs. Though diametrically opposed in culture and social sensibilities, the Toresk don't tend to keep a standing army, relying instead on Janoan mercenaries for much of their active army. So the Toresk and Janoa mentally are very opposite, but that complements each other very well because the Toresk have a very mental focus and the Janoan very martial. So if they work together, they could probably take over the world. Unfriendly, Dross. They have a complicated past, and from the perspective of the Janoa, there's enough validation of the actions taken in the past towards the Dross. While there isn't any open feud currently ongoing, there is quite a lot of animosity. The Dross are more than happy to give any Janoan a wide berth, even one unblooded by their first hunt, since they have become so accustomed to consensus building that they are quite inept in dealing with the bold individualism most Janoan possess. Oh, so just the Dross just don't like how boastful and selfish, self-centered the Janoa are, which is understandable. Yeah, they seem very selfish as a culture. The Kipik, as the Janoa prize physical strength and art accomplishments. Okay, no, Musa, calm down. Start from the beginning. Kipik, As the Janoa prize physical strength and accomplishments regarding the hunt above all else, the Kipik are looked at with great disdain, not only for their diminutive size, but for how they willingly choose to deny themselves the glory of the hunt. While they would never admit it, they do begrudgingly respect the Kipik's prowess at stealth. The Kipik prefer not to hire Janoan mercenaries, one of the few tribes that don't, because of the callous and wasteful manner in which the Janoa treat the Fey spirits like a sports drink. Yeah, they don't like how the Janoa kill animals just for the sake of killing and, becoming more powerful. Which I understand, it's a waste of life sometimes. What if that deer didn't have to die, or, that lion didn't have to die, but because a Janoan saw an opportunity to be revered, and they just took them. So that can be a lot. So, in conclusion, my overall opinion of the Janoa as a tribe are that I do like them. I think their appearance is very striking and one of the most fantastical of all the tribes. You don't really see striped humans in a lot of fantasy games. I think that's very unique to Chronicles of Elyria, which is good for the game. And I like how their eyes are cat-like, and also Caspian did mention that they should have pointed tiger-like, well, not tiger-like, pointed cat-like ears. You can't see it in this concept art because their hair is covering it, but if that's like how it is in game, that should be interesting. They have cat eyes here too. That's cool. And they're supposed to have, well, not supposed to, but I think it'd be cool if they did have fangs or sharp teeth, because they primarily eat meat, because that's what they hunt a lot for the sake of hunting it. So obviously they need a good way to eat it. And so the broodveer have that, they have the wolf teeth, so they can have tiger teeth. And I really like how their culture is very, well, their culture I like a lot, but I really do like their environment. The tropical jungle is a very beautiful place to me, personally, and I did want to be in it from, way, way back where the tribes were announced. But personally, as someone who doesn't like competition, or doesn't really like killing things for the sake of killing them, I won't go Janoan, because I just don't want to be, stressed out with having to maintain my trophy tree, to maintain my land. We don't want to be having to kill innocent animals in the jungle just to become stronger myself, But looking at the Janoans objectively, I do appreciate their their strength, their power, their raw animalistic nature, and the toe tiger thing. I understand why the Janoans are self-centered. Well, why the other tribes see them as self-centered, because when you think about it, since they're based off tigers, who are in nature, in real world, solitary animals, that makes sense. They're solitary animals who, as a human-looking tribe, live in communities to protect each other, but they still think as a solitary animal. They still think as tigers, the Janoans do. So I understand that in that way, and I think that the Dross have both Janoan and the Dross are very childish, and they're hate of each other. I feel like they need to get over that a little bit. It was probably such hundreds of years ago, to the point where the Dross don't even look Janoan anymore. So who cares what happened over back then, But both tribes just are so butthurt they can't get over it. But okay, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. My next one will be whatever tribe they release the next in-game model for, which is taking a long time, longer than I thought it'd be, but I hope the next one is Teresk, because I really want to see how those look in-game. But thanks for watching, and that's it. So, oh, and check out chroniclesofelyria.com if you want to get more information on the tribes and on everything about this game, because this game is awesome and I am addicted. I need help. This is a cry for help. I'm too addicted to this game.